Hi, I'm Jeff Murphy, and today we're talking about making selections in Adobe Photoshop. Making selections is probably the single most time-intensive and probably most important thing that you can do in Photoshop. Um, it's easy to do, but to do it professionally takes some finesse and a little bit of practice. So we'll cover a few different things today. We'll look at your basic selections um, using your Quick Select tool, and we will also look at the quick mask mode. We will look at a layer mask, which is different than a quick mask. It's a very important distinction we'll talk about. And we will output our selection to its own layer with a layer mask. Okay, we'll do all that today. And it won't take that long because we're going to use the quick select tool to begin. So first of all, I'm going to take this off of here and show you what we're going to actually end up with over the next few tutorials. We'll end up with this. So we'll also talk about paths and alpha channels and overlays and adjustment layers and a whole bunch of things in a few upcoming tutorials. Alright, first step, we need Quinn to put him into that background. So let's start. There's a whole bunch of selection tools that I talk about. If you look at my Trike Strike video, we talk about these in depth. Today we're just going to jump straight to my quick selection tool and just click in Quinn and just start dragging down through him. Alright, the default for this tool in my options bar, it's set to add to selection, so to keep getting more of the selection, I just need to keep dragging through. So I'm like pushing the selection out into my newer areas. And it is pretty quick, right? I was not lying about that. Need the boot. Now there's some areas that we don't want, that we've already oops, we need the helmet still. There we go. Some areas we don't want. So let me option drag through these. Okay, let's see here. Let's get a bigger brush first of all, so you guys can see. So there's the default. It's set to plus. If I hold down the option modifier, notice that my cursor gives me the circle with a minus in it. Alright, that means with the option key down, I'm subtracting from my selection. Right? Alright, we need a smaller brush for areas like this to subtract, and I should always blow these areas up when I work. I'm getting the grabber hand with the space bar. That's really important. I can hold down the brackets. The left bracket shrinks my brush, and the right bracket on my keyboard enlarges my brush with all my tools. That's important to remember. So option key, click in there. Let's get a smaller brush even. Drag up through there, drag down through there, and I need this little piece here again. Okay. So option key here to subtract this piece from the selection, and you know what? I guess we might as well help do that piece too right there. Now this is, not a perfect selection or anything, but that's okay. We will fix it here in a minute. Now there's some things that this tool will never get for us, like this lace, because there's just not enough contrast. This tool will not be able to find this edge. Oops. No matter how small I make the brush, I can try to get it like this, and then option click to subtract these bigger areas, and it'll sort of work. You know what? It's going to look nasty no matter what. Let's try that again. Let's do it with this lace here. And then we'll option drag through here to subtract. So we have some of it. But what's better for areas like this, so that we can do a really, really nice selection, we have another lace sticking out up here, is to use something called the quick selection tool, which, don't get confused, the quick selection, quick selection tool is what we're using. Quick mask. I confused myself. Really, dude? You confused yourself? Okay, so this was our quick selection tool. That's what we're using, but we're going to jump here into quick mask, which I already did. Watch, when I click on this, it's quick mask. Alright, it says it up here, Jeff. Quick mask. Alright. The beauty of this tool is I can grab a brush, a paintbrush, and I can paint with white and black. Make sure I have white and black right here. where black actually adds mask and white takes it away. Now, quick mask is temporary. I'm only using it, so there's white. I can actually add here, so this little nibbit right there. I can enlarge my brush. See how that's adding to my selection, watch. But really what I want is black, right? So let's get black, and then I can finesse this. Now the beauty of this is I'm using a brush. I can use a brush whatever size I want, and I can use a brush with 0 hardness so I can have a softer edge, because, you know, in fact a hard brush would look very fake. You know, most edges that are raster programs are really not that sharp. When it comes down to it, they just appear sharp. Alright, oops. We can hit X on our keyboard to switch between black and white. So if I'm painting with red, I'm painting with black. Remember, black equals red whenever you're using selection tools and masks. Black is equivalent to red. And when I get into those really small areas, smaller brush. I can decide where I want this lace to end. And I can come up here. I need white, right? Again, I could have held down, I could have pushed X on the keyboard to switch those. But I know you guys can't see that, so I'm trying to use the, alright. Switch. Modify this just a hair. Got a little too much over here. Now, and of course, blow the stuff up, dude. So I'm always telling everybody, blow it up. You can see how I could make these like perfect this way. It's just a little time intensive, that's all. But sometimes you have to do that. Alright. We will save, there's another mess up in here, over here. We're going to fix this later just to show you another option we have here. Alright, we still have black, so I'll go ahead and fix this. Alright. Now, after you've been using your quick mask mode, make sure you jump out of it. Just click on it again, so you're back to your selection. It's very important. One, you're editing your selection, and one, you have your selection to select your RGB stuff, which is what we want. We want our RGB stuff. All right. Now, the next step, if you ever use these quick selection tools or magic wand, is to click on this Refine Edge button. Now, this is a toolbar option, so if I'm still on my brush tool, you're not going to see it. You can see your brush options. So make sure you click back on your any one of these selection tools will show you that button. You know, they all have it, but we'll just go back to our quick selection tool because that's what we're using, and click on it. Oh, by the way, you can also find it up here in your select menu, Refine Edge. And a lot of modifiers in Refine Edge that we're going to use are under this modify option in your select menu. So border, smooth, expand, contract, feather. You will see that when we go to Refine Edge, they're all here. Okay, let's blow up so we can see our edge. Now, that tool is a little scary because it gives you a really nasty edge by default. So don't ever use that tool without clicking on the Refine Edge button. Because we can just make a few simple adjustments, like we can smooth this edge just a hair, and look at that. It looks much better. Now you see a little white fringe here. We can also fix that. We can feather this a hair, but we can also shift the edge in. So the whole edge is shifting in towards our selection if we want. Now I've got to be a little bit careful there because I'm modifying the whole document. If I have some really small details at the edge, they're going to disappear. All right. Now here's what I'm not doing with this one that you've seen me do with other tutorials, and that is clicking on the Show Radius button and hitting this radius slider here. Because the second I do that, I'm telling Photoshop I want me to find the edge. And I already know from experience that it's going to do a horrible job with these small things like these laces. Because the laces are light on a light background, so it's just going to mess them up. All right, trust me, it doesn't matter how many times you try to do it, it won't work very well. And I have nice laces right now, so I'm not going to use this edge detection here. With stuff like hair, and when you have good contrast, that'll work out really well, but not here. I'm not even going to try to fix this yet, because I want to show you something else about selections. All right, all I'm going to do here is smooth my edge out a bit. Let's pull that up again so I can see that edge. smooth it out, and I could even feather it a hair or two. And I don't think I want to shift it quite that much. I can fix some of the stuff in my next step. It's just really right here on this edge. What I do want to also click on is, let's see, I know there's one area right here. See that pink line on the bottom of his wrist? That's caused from my not great lens and some chromatic aberration. But I can click on this decontaminate colors and turn the slider up and it'll go away. All right, so that's beautiful. Now here's an important last step, because we want to keep our flexibility. If sometimes I make a selection, I realize, oh man, I forgot a piece, like I missed a shoelace or whatever. If I output this to a new layer with a layer mask, that's what I would always do. New layer with layer mask. Watch what happens. I get a new layer with a layer mask. The layer mask was given to me by Photoshop, and with that, I can edit this some more. Now here's where we have some overlap between our quick mask and our layer mask. With all masks, you're essentially using your brushes and black and white. Remember, black is the mask color and white is the non-mask color. So if I want something to not be visible, I paint over it with black, like so. And if I want something to become visible, like this chunk of boot I'm missing, I paint over it with white. Now make sure that you actually got your layer mask selected. But now I can blow this up, and I can paint over it with white. Look, I'm at 300%, that's why it looks so nasty. This is a lower resolution file than my original one, just for my kids to use. All right, you know what, let's just bring it all back so we know where everything is. I was really missing a lot there. All right, so I brought it all back. And again, I'm using a soft brush and my bracket keys on my keyboard. So that was white, and I'm going to switch to black. I can also hit X on my keyboard, and I'm going to shrink my brush down so I can really finesse this. Come along this edge and go around here like this. Get all that stuff out of there. And again, smaller brush, these little edges. Now I'm going to bring this whole picture and hit X here for a minute because I went a little too far. Need to get white again. I'm going to bring this whole picture and the layer mask into my landscape. So I can keep editing it over there, and actually it'll probably work better against the landscape I'm using. All right, so there's Quinn. He's on this layer with his layer mask, and when he looks perfect, I can keep going around the edge. I'm just, I would go around at least 100%. I'm at 200% right here, and I would look at all the edges and make sure they look cool. Look, a big chunk of the shirt's missing. No biggie. What do I need? White. There we go. All right, if I want, with this layer mask, if I there's a whole bunch of things I can do with it. If I option click it, I will see just the mask, which is sometimes very helpful. I can option click it again to bring it back. So option click, and I see just the mask. That way, if I'm editing something like that lace, if I look, oh, that was good, I did that. I can really help myself out because I know I don't want those pieces over there. All right. That was very helpful. I'm glad I did that. Okay, he's done, and we're done. The last thing we should do probably is put him into this document here. Let's go ahead. I'm going to turn off all the stuff except the background, and I'll just show you. To get him over there, it was no problem. Oops. All I have to do is take this whole layer and drag it right into this document. And plunk, there he is. And then I have a whole tutorial about transforming, but basically Command T brings up our bounding box, hold down the Shift key to scale him, and we will have him set for our next demo. All right. Next, we will use adjustment layers. All right. Bye.